Hello, this is Russ Bucher from Control My Nikon, and in this video we're going to take a look at how to capture video using Cinematographer Pro version 4.0. Capturing video in Cinematographer Pro is very easy. All you need to do is start it up and go to the settings menu and select which camera you have. And right now I have a D7000 with a 1.8 50mm lens connected to my Windows 7 64-bit system. And then you just click on Connect, and it tells us it's connected. Then you go into live view. So this is really your preview of what your video is going to look like. Now your end video might have a different aspect ratio. It all depends on what you set up within your camera. When you want to record, you just click on record. And when you're done recording, click on it again and it transfers. And now it's on your computer. So to take a look at the video that you've captured, you just go to the folder where it was stored, and the Cinematographer Pro does not have an internal movie viewer. You just need to use whatever app will play an MP4. They have a .mov extension, but it's really an MP4 in there. So you double click on it. It's using Windows Media Player. And there it is. Okay, now let's take a look at some of the settings that you can set up to make all this happen. Now I'm just going to turn off live view here for a moment and go back to settings. And we'll look at some of the different things you can do here. Now when you set up the different cameras, you just click which camera that you like here by clicking on the button. Now we also added the D800 and D4 in this version. But I'll just keep it here at the D7000. Now you can also change the overall look and feel of this window. So if you like it a bit of a lighter look than this dark look, you click on that. Now you're in a lighter theme. If you want to get rid of it, you just click on it again and it goes back dark. It's really just your personal preference for which one you'd like to use. Now we can also set the aspect ratio that is displayed here, and I have it set to native, but you can change this to any of these different aspect ratios. Now on the D7000 and D5100, if you go to these cameras on the LCD menu and tell it to shoot a 16:9, 1920 by 1080 video, the video will have the correct aspect ratio when it's downloaded to your computer. But the aspect ratio here in live view will be incorrect, because live view for these cameras always shows in basically a 4:3 ratio. And so that's really not previewing exactly what your video is going to look like. So if you know that you're shooting 16:9, then you just click on 16:9 and close it and connect, go to live view. So this is what your end video is going to look like. And this helps you frame your composition here to ensure you're not cutting off, say, someone's head at the top. Okay, let's go back and look at some of the other aspect ratios. So we can go all the way to 2.39 to 1. And let's go back. So I'm going to put it back to native here, and that's going to be whatever the aspect ratio of your live view coming in. Now where this is useful is when you use these new cameras like the D800, the D4. These will crop the live view imagery within the camera. So if we are connected to a D800 now, I just set it to native, and if the movie format you've selected in the D800 is really a 16:9, well then it's going to show a 16:9 here as well. Okay, let's go back here. We'll go into live view. And let's take a look at some of the other things that we can do. Now the first thing you can do is you can clone it. This is useful if you have multiple monitors and you'd like to take this and put it on a different monitor for someone else to view off to the side. Now this clone window does not show any of the additional layers. So if I was to turn on, for example, the overlay and some of the other exposure markers, it shows on the main window but not on the cloned window. Okay, I'll turn that off. Let's take a look at this overlay. You can use an overlay to define the margins for your scene. So it could be in this scene that you want to keep all the action in this area and try not to have anything outside these margins. You can customize this by creating a PNG image and then importing it into Cinematographer Pro. And Cinematographer Pro just overlays that PNG image on top of all this live view imagery. Now you can create this PNG image just by going into any app that does that. Then I've got Photoshop here, and where we've created this particular overlay. And we basically need to set the layer here so it's transparent. Draw anything on top of that on other layers. And then when you save it as a PNG image. Now in Control My Nikon, we tell it to use that particular PNG image by going to Overlay, and then browse for it, and here I have it right here. Now it's important that you create your overlay image with the same dimensions as the live view. So here it's 640 by 426, and this is how large the live view image is when it's displayed within Cinematographer Pro. So we'll just select this, close it, turn on live view, and then you could turn this on and off as needed. So if you're creating your own overlay and would like to know what size this is, what you need to do is turn on the sidebar, and it will show you the size of the imagery in the upper left hand corner, 640 by 426. Now this size can vary a little bit per camera, but it's generally about this large. So once you know what the size is, you can go into Photoshop, whatever program that you're using to create your PNG, create an image of this size, make your transparent areas, and then go back to the settings screen, click on Overlay, and select the image. And then turn it on by clicking on Overlay. Now to check the exposure, you can use the inner and outer exposure markers. If you like to have certain parts of your scene within an exposure range, you just click on inner and it'll highlight it in whatever color you like here. Now you could specify the range for this back here under settings. And this is your inner exposure range. So I've told it to show me anything where the luminance is between 150 and 180, and you could change the color here if you like. We also have an outer, and we can use this to show us anything that is over or underexposed. So I'm going to tell it to show me anything that is under 10 and greater than 245, and the range is from 0 to 255. If it was 255, it would be blown out white, and if it's 0, it's blown out just pure black. And I'll set it up here to show up in red. So go back into live view and to turn on outer, and it's saying that this area here, which is very bright, and this is just the light shining off of here, is very bright, and this black area is very dark. Now you could tighten it up as needed, but basically allows you to have a little bit of a buffer in case you have to do post-processing to ensure that you still have enough luminance range to make adjustments. So at a glance, you could turn this and this on and know whether the areas that you want within the scene are within a particular range, and to ensure that nothing outside acceptable ranges. In addition to that, you can use a histogram, and it'll show you with these vertical bars here what is currently under the mouse. So you can just move your mouse, and here this is a very bright area here, and the bars are far to the right. This is a very dark area, and they're far to the left. So just one more thing to allow you to evaluate the exposure, and you could turn all these on at the same time if you like. And normally when you're shooting video, we recommend full manual mode. So set it up for a manual exposure on your camera, manual movie mode if you have a D7000. Set your shutter speed, your aperture, and your ISO up on the camera body in advance before you start shooting. Let's take a look at focusing. So to get to focusing, you just click on focus, and you can turn on the focus box. And to move the focus box, you just click on the screen. Let's say I wanted to focus in this area right here. And for autofocus to work, you want to ensure that you have an area of very good contrast. And this looks not too bad, so I'm going to click on autofocus. And it's focused in. And to take a closer look, you can click on zoom. And that looks like it's in focus. You could still manually adjust your focus to ensure that your focus is correct if you like. I'll zoom back out. Now you can use focus peaking to get a quick glance of what is currently in focus. If you set it to strict, it will reduce some of the false positives for what's in focus. It really depends on the scene. The more contrast and good lighting you have, the more useful this peaking will be. If it's very dark with poor contrast, then it'll have a lot of difficulty showing what is currently in focus. You can also set the color of this. Now, when we recorded a video earlier, it was automatically transferred back to the computer, and you could specify where that goes here under videos. So just pick a path, including across the network, and it'll send it to that location. You can also use shortcuts, and a shortcut allows you to map a particular key on your keyboard to a command. And here we have some keystrokes here that allow us to quickly perform a lot of the commands. As for example, here I have C to connect and L to turn on live view. So if I press C on the keyboard, it toggles the connect button. L does the same thing, turns on live view on and off, and you can basically set it for all the different buttons here. And that's it. That's how you record video using Cinematographer Pro version 4.0. Happy tethering.